Welcome everybody to Steering Committee Monthly Meeting number 7. The Steering Committee is a culmination of all the special interest groups and working group meetings that happen throughout the month, where again the Steering Committee comes together to go over projects that are actively being worked on, talk about special interest groups and working groups, talk about any new or relevant discussions inside the GitHub discussions, and then again open it up for any other conversation from members of the community. So again, what usually happens is that Neil walks us through the agenda, and I'll be taking notes in the background. So Neil, take it away.
Thanks, Adam. Hey, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can start looking at the agenda and things that we want to discuss. Should be coming up now. All right. So for those that are joining us for the first time, first of all, welcome to the community. The way we do things typically is like we have a bunch of projects and working groups that work asynchronously and then meet as needed. And then on an approximately monthly basis, we review pretty much all the projects and then make decisions about governance of the overall open source community, as well as decisions about priorities of projects and things like that. So typically what we do on these meetings is we sort of go over 4 agenda items. We review and discuss any community feedback in terms of how things are working within the working groups, as well as SIGs or any other feedback really in terms of how we can improve the process going forward. We review the list of projects that we have prioritized as a group and see if there are things that need to be shuffled around, or if the status of some of the projects needs to be changed. We review any GitHub discussions and see if there's things we need to do to move things forward or create any sort of work groups out of them. And then we open it up for any other open questions from anybody that's on the call that wants to bring up something that hasn't been discussed. Now, outside of these 4 things, I have a couple of things that I want to talk about as well. These are sort of new projects. It'll probably fit in the project list area, so I'll bring them up in that point. But that's kind of the agenda. Before we get into that, is there any sort of general questions about it? Cool, I'll take that as a no. Does anybody have any sort of feedback or grievances or conflicts that they want to bring up about the way things are working in the communities as such? Any sort of issues that you see with the way things are being done? Cool. Yeah, we typically get pretty much no feedback on this one, so it's usually a good thing. Hopefully people aren't holding back. So yeah, it's good to know that overall things seem to be going well and people are happy with the way things are working. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is reviewing the list of projects that are currently in the backlog here. So for people that want to look at this list, it's at that URL there. You can also get to it from the notes within the steering committee README as well. So here's the list of projects, and it typically goes from top to bottom in this table here. And for each one, we have a short description, the community group that's working on it, as well as the current state of the project. So the very first one here is GPU support. Obviously, that is front and center for us. Actually, I just realized I may not be sharing my entire screen, so hang on. Shift. Yeah, it looks like I was just sharing the tab and not the window. So now it should be visible. Cool. So this is the list of projects, and you can get to this again from the steering committee notes. The very first project here is GPU support. Most people on this call should be familiar that we've been very focused and hands down on an incentivized testnet. That incentivized testnet ended about approximately 1 week ago or so. And it's been overall very successful. So huge thanks to everyone, obviously the core team, Arthur, with changes, and everybody from the core team that's supporting it, as well as huge thanks to the community that has really helped us make this successful in terms of getting the word out, getting people to participate, reviewing all the submissions and then answering any questions on Discord channel. So huge thanks to everyone there. In terms of the current status and where things go from here, one of the goals, so obviously there was like 3 or 4 goals we had established for the GPU incentivized testnet. One of it was to test the product changes and the code changes itself. The second was to build out more AI models within Awesome Akash, and then the third was to generally create content to evangelize Akash and position Akash as a valid provider for AI models. And I think we've done very good on all 3 of those fronts. Specifically talking about the technical portion of this, which is identifying any issues ahead of the mainnet upgrade. There were 2 main issues that came up sort of in the context of testing all of this. Both of those issues are documented in our support repo. And so the most critical of these issues is issue number 104 out here, where a certain type of SDL was causing the provider to restart. And so I believe this is closed now and there's a fix in place. We are currently testing this with a sandbox environment with, first there's an initial provider that the overclock core team is testing, and then we'll be enlisting the help of a few of the insiders for testing this out as well. So that is currently in progress. There is another open issue, I believe that's open issue 106, that is also getting a code fix from Arthur. So these 2 are kind of the main 2 issues that are outstanding in terms of feedback or issues that came out of the testnet and the incentivized testnet as well. So our hope is that we'll be able to test these out this week and verify that they're fixed and then have them ready for the mainnet upgrade. I don't know, Arthur, is there anything else you would like to add in terms of the technical feedback that you've gotten from the incentivized testnet?
Not that much, actually. We cover all of the things related to issues and features in the support discussions.
Great. Thank you. So basically the plan right now is we're going to run this sandbox test with to verify these few bug fixes and code changes. And then the next thing we're going to work on is a smaller testnet, an upgrade to the testnet network, where we'll test out stable payments as well as the economics 2.0, which is support for take pay. And so those changes are something that we are targeting before the mainnet upgrade. So test those out in a small testnet and then have them verified and ready for inclusion in the next mainnet upgrade. And so those kind of are reflected in these next 2 items, which shows the implementation right now, but it's probably something that will change to beta once we have this testnet up and running with the changes for it. So those are kind of the top 3 items out here. Any questions on those ones before we move down the list here? Go ahead, Max.
Hey everyone, hey Anil. Just a quick question. Will the mainnet be upgraded with GPU in between like the 2 testnets, the stable payments?
Yeah, great question. So the short answer is no. So the plan is basically we're going to first verify the fixes for these GPU issues, which I think is ongoing right now. Next, we're going to take the same sandbox environment or the testnet environment, depending on what the dev team decides on, and update it with the code changes for stable payments as well as make and take pay. And then we're going to run a smaller testnet with that. And this is going to all happen before the mainnet upgrade. And then the intention is that when we do the mainnet upgrade, which right now is potentially targeted around the 7th of August, but that could change as we find out things in the next few days. So when we do that mainnet upgrade, it'll basically include all of these changes. So support for GPUs, as well as make and take pay and stable payments.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions? Cool. Yeah. So as I mentioned, right now we're tracking a mainnet upgrade that includes all of these 3. somewhere around the second week of August. But we'll keep you all posted through Discord, as well as any other meetings on how that is progressing, and if that moves a little bit later. Cool. Moving on to the next set of things, and I kind of grouped these based on, I shuffled the table around just a little bit this morning based on how things have been progressing in terms of these projects. And I feel like the hackathon is something that is been doing a lot of work in terms of getting ready for being able to do this in August. And I know there's been a lot of discussions around events. I know there was participation from community folks in a couple of events recently as well. So I don't know if Adam Wozni, if you're on the call, just look through here. Doesn't look like Adam Wozni is on the call. Is there anybody else that wants to talk about like the events or hackathon or certification program stuff at all?
Is there anything specifically of events that you want to hear about?
Just generally, like if anybody wants to share feedback on the events that the community folks participated in, that'll be great to hear. And then on the hackathon specifically, if anybody wants to share any updates in terms of what we're looking, how we're tracking in terms of the timeline, as well as the identifying the projects that we're going to open up as part of the hackathon.
Yeah, I think I can speak a little bit on the events, at least from the Paris portion of it. It went pretty well. A bunch of cool stuff spun from there. Thing that I'm aware specifically, one of the things I participated in the hackathon, and sorry, my voice is kind of bad because of I catch something at the conference. But yeah, so I did participate in the hackathon, the Inc Global hackathon, and what we built is something that maybe we might be bringing to the Akash network if it makes sense. It was basically TLDR is it's a backup tool for a bunch of database management systems that can run as a sidecar container. And it's something that we could incorporate as part of the Akash network provider offering to allow them to back up database data through to IPFS Filecoin. So the idea is to offer kind of like a decentralized storage backup solution if providers want to. But yeah, I can give more details on that on Discord. That's one of the things. Also met a lot of guys on the OsmoCon and the Cosmos events. It was pretty cool. I gave a talk about the Akash network. It was also very, very interesting. A lot of people had questions, wanted to see demos, had also the opportunity at Eat Global to demo the product to a bunch of people. I left a message on the Discord saying if anyone is interested in deploying their projects on a decentralized cloud, they could DM me, and I got a bunch of responses, and it allowed me to go through the venue and show people like the CloudMoose tool, the Akash console, and just spread the word a little bit. That was cool. The mesh security thing at OsmoCon, the presentation was pretty awesome. Something to look forward to. The mesh security. Take notes and go research a bit about it. It's very, very interesting. What else? And there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm just not really remembering. But yeah, I also met a guy called Akash. Seems it's like a popular Indian name or somewhat popular Indian name. It was fun. And yeah, pretty much it. Also met someone that he said he maintained he used to maintain the Omnibus repo back in the day. Yeah, I think those are kind of the highlights.
Thanks, Luna. Yeah, that's a really good update. So seems like overall things went pretty well at the ETH conference. So that's great. Awesome. Yeah, if Adam Bosniak was on the call, he'd probably give us a detailed update on in terms of the next coming up conferences. But I don't know, Tyler, if you have any other updates on that or the hackathon, go ahead. I know you had your hand up earlier.
No, I think Luna gave a great update. I know, again, some other folks went to Adam Berlin, some folks in the Insiders, and had a great time. There was an Insider office hours that just wrapped up a little bit ago, and I know that Adam mentioned on that call that the hackathon registration should be starting next week. So folks should look out for that, and again, spread the word if they can. And then there should be a working group hackathon session that he's looking to plan either tomorrow or again early next week. For folks. So again, look out for the events in Discord if you want to get involved in the next steps for the hackathon.
Very cool. And Tyler, the list of projects for the hackathon is still not finalized, right? That's something that's going to be worked on in the next few days.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they have 5 general tracks, but I think they're going to continue to fine tune that over the next couple of days for sure. Okay,
great. Yeah, we've been talking to one Web3 project that is doing work in terms of basically getting network coverage to essentially a decentralized internet coverage kind of project, and they were interested in partnering with us on this hackathon to see if they basically have these 3 or 4 different types of nodes, and they wanted to see if as part of the hackathon we can make one of the tasks spinning up one of the nodes for their network onto Akash. So something that we're talking to them about. We'll try to write up a document or something that can be included for consideration as part of the hackathon stuff. Go ahead, Luna.
I just remember something as well. I met someone from, I think they are from the company that's building Open Registry, or at least know them, and they told me that they are making some progress. So just kind of an update on the Open Registry thing. Not sure if it's relevant or not, but yeah, I think it's that they are working on it. It seems.
Was it one of those folks that I've highlighted there?
From the names, I can't. Not sure.
Yeah, because they actually did a presentation in the last SIG clients meeting on their
I remember
and stuff. So it's probably one of them. I think there's just 2 people that work on it right now. So that's cool that you met them. Definitely, if you weren't on it, definitely check out the recording from this meeting because they did a cool demo of their latest client and UI changes and stuff. It's cool.
But it was like 1 month ago, right, that they did it, or was it recently? Because I remember seeing one.
Yeah, I think it was probably like 3 weeks ago, I want to say.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. I think I went to that one, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. Okay, so it looks like hackathon is going fine. And then Tyler, or anyone, did anybody have anything to share on certificate program at all? Certification program? Probably not. We can hold off for next time. Cool. Let's see, dockside migration. I know there's a bunch of efforts going on this one. So Luna and team obviously are working on the new layout for the new doc site and have a staged environment that people can check out and see like kind of what the workflow looks like. Separately, we have been adding a lot of, or Scott on our side has been adding a lot of documentation internally for that's more developer focused. So I think the eventual goal here is to sort of merge these 2 efforts together. So the content from our team going to Luna's team to get incorporated into the new doc site, and then eventually get the doc site updated on the website, the current website, and replace it essentially with docs.akash network. Is that kind of the overall plan still, or any other updates to add from your side, Luna or Tyler?
I think that's a very accurate update. I think we're going to, again, push it eventually to be akash.network/docs. But the next phase is there's going to be a working group session that's going to be set up for 9 a.m. on Monday, where Luna, Scott, and some other members of the community are all going to come together to talk about strategy. I know, again, Scott and other members of the community contribute to developing new documentation, and we have to figure out a documentation freeze so that Luna and his team can do the last migrations and push us into Hugo, and then we can figure out a strategy for the transfer. So again, there'll be a discussion about that on Monday, next coming Monday, and it's already on the calendar, but it'll be added to the Discord events today.
Great, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that update. So great. Looks like by next SIG, by the next steering committee meeting, maybe we'll have a new doc site. We'll see. Cool. The next one here is on-chain analytics. So there's like everything related to SIG analytics kind of. There's been a couple of updates here. One is there was so CloudMotion team have done an amazing job of supporting the GPU testnet as well as the Pretor team on the provider side. So thank you both teams for doing the work to support the testnet. It's been like amazing for us to be able to utilize that data in terms of social sharing and stuff like that. And then I think the current plan is so the one person that submitted a proposal, Zach. I don't know if Zach's on the call. Let's look at the list of people here. Doesn't look like he's on the call right now, but Zach with a K. He is working on an indexer, and he's kind of building a indexer solution for the entire Cosmos ecosystem. So it's not specifically Akash, but he's going to work on one that is going to support Akash as well. And then separately, we are talking with the CloudMost team to see, how we can work with them to utilize their indexer as well. So that's kind of what's going on. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, sorry, what are the timelines in the documentation? I don't think we covered that, did we?
The doc site migration?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the TLDR on that is basically next week is a meeting where Luna and Scott and others are going to meet and talk about how all the content that Scott has been developing that is very developer focused, like open source developer focused, can get merged into the new site that Luna and team have developed. And so the hope is that once they iron out that, we should be able to get the new doc site updated to the website in the next few weeks. That's kind of at least my take on that.
And what happened to the staging server? It was up for a little bit, but it's gone. Are you going to bring that back so I can start giving early feedback?
Good question. Luna, do you know?
Is it offline? I haven't checked. It was a development environment, but I can bring it up again for feedback. If I turn it on, it's probably to save some bucks. But I can bring it up as again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. Moving on to the next item here is provider attributes. So I moved this up in the list of things a little bit because Max and the CloudMost team stepped up and said they are going to test out implementing, the rough spec that we have outlined a while back. The spec in a Word document right now is shared on the WG provider attributes Discord channel. Anybody that wants to look at it, go ahead and request access. I'll grant it to you. The only reason I'm keeping it closed right now is because it's not fleshed out completely. And I also want to know who's reviewing it so I can get feedback from you. But meanwhile, Max and team are working on implementing a schema in CloudMost to support the spec. And one of the goals of there is to test, sort of how this would work and if any changes are needed from the schema in order to support a more flexible, querying mechanism. But that's kind of what's going on here. And that's why this is an implementation. So I don't know, Max, if there's anything else you want to add to
that. Sure. I created a pull request today. I put the file in one of our public repos. Could be somewhere else. Just did it for simplicity. And I just shared the pull request with a bunch of comments on why certain things are this way or the way that we propose to do it. So if anyone wants to comment on it or contribute, can, I guess, contribute or discuss in that pull request, even though it's merged in the master branch. But so yeah, the main goal is to have this base schema that we can start working on and make it evolve with time based on what we learn while using it. And so yeah, that's just look at it, give us your comments, and I'm already working on implementing a form on CloudMos so that providers will be able to edit these attributes based on the schema, and therefore, if ideally all the providers provide the same information in the same attributes, we should have a fairly standardized set of information for each of the providers, their capacity or capabilities, and where they are and stuff like this. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Max. Yeah, this is super important because it'll definitely improve the user experience for clients deploying on Akash. Right now, it's like nearly impossible to implement like any serious filtering in terms of geographic locations or anything of that sort because the attribute keys are all over the place. So thank you. The next one here is authorized spend management. This one used to be called console ODZ before. I changed it to just ODZ in general because we've been talking with the CloudMos team on this a little bit, and the spec, which is linked from here, if you look at it, it has it calls out a bunch of features on two sides of this equation. So it calls out features to implement support for ODZ for people that are essentially using the funds, essentially the grantee, and then also the grantor. So people that are going to be giving out these funds and being able to like look at what wallets have been granted in a single view, be able to see the amount that is spent and remaining, so on and so forth, and be able to revoke and manage all the wallets from a single page. So in speaking with the CloudMos team, one of the things we realized is that CloudMos supports some of these things and doesn't support some of them. So CloudMos is going to take a stab at this, once they get through the provider attribute stuff, unless there's something else that comes up. So that's kind of the plan on ODZ for now. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today, which kind of I think fits really well with this, is we've also been talking with the CloudMos team about potential reuse of code between console and CloudMos. So talking about areas where if there are certain things that are implemented by console today that are differently implemented from the Akash.js repo, getting those into Akash.js, and similarly on the CloudMos side as well. We'll give a more detailed update on this. It's still pretty early conversations that we're having, but the essential idea is to make Akash.js, which is our JavaScript library, a place where a lot of the common functions reside that any clients, including CloudMos and console, can utilize for common functions. So that's another update that I just wanted to share on this call. Cool. The next one's content moderation. I know this was kind of on pause because there was a lot. So the primary people driving this after we defined the specs and the PRD for this collectively as a team, the primary team driving this was the Praetor team, and the Praetor team obviously has been very busy with the GPU testnet and modifying their onboarding client to support bringing on GPUs and all of that work. So this has been kind of on pause. I think the plan was to resume this in the next week or 2 weeks. I don't expect a whole lot of updates right now, but Jigar, Deval, if there's anything else you want to add, go ahead.
No, I think you sum up well. We're gonna resume that once we are like ready to move to mainnet and get away with the GPU, make it stable. So like a lot of providers can become a provider through operator in GPU mainnet, right? And if we will be ready, we can demo in next provider SIG meeting.
Great, thank you. The next one's client libraries. I don't think there's been a huge amount of work on this recently, but yeah, at least from what I've seen, I know Luna, you and your team were leading the effort on the Glow client library at least. Is there anything you would like to share?
Yeah, we are currently focused mainly on having it ready for and supported and support the testnet. So most of the work is pending. The release is pending because it's waiting for the discussion as well as the mainnet, the testnet to mainnet.
Good, Arthur.
So our efforts are really on making sure that the client libraries are working with the testnet version or with the most recent version.
Good, Arthur.
Yeah, on the client side, there's a little bit of delay from my part to review code and do suggestions for that. Frankly saying, I don't have an idea for that, but hopefully once I'm gonna forward it with the GPU and my net upgrade comes to the final point, I will be able to take a look at that and give some feedback, because there are quite a few things that needs to be addressed before moving on.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, that makes sense, and I don't think there's like a huge rush. Obviously, the mainnet upgrade and bug fixes and the testnets take a priority over this, so makes sense. All right, I don't think there's much point in discussing a lot of these other projects unless anybody specifically wants to talk about one of these, because I don't think there's any like active work going on any of these. Anything else anybody wants to bring up out of this list? Okay, if there's nothing else you want to bring up, there's a couple of things I want to kind of plant a seed for. These are not things that are that have a spec or anything right now, but it's something that we've been discussing a little bit within the community. So one of these is basically coming up with a specification for what needs to happen before Akash can support a spot marketplace for providers. So to provide some context on this, one of the theses we have on our side is basically, in addition to being a marketplace for people that have their own compute, like whether it's CPUs that you own or GPUs that you own, we would also like Akash Network to be the place that people can bring their cloud resources to. So this is a situation where a lot of people today, especially in the case of GPUs, if you want to get access to the most latest and greatest GPUs like the A100s and the H100s currently, most of the big cloud providers like Amazon, Google, and Azure, they're going to charge you, basically ask you to commit to a lengthy contract. And typically these run anywhere from 1 year to 3 years. And by doing so and committing to this, what's called a committed use discount, you get a discount on the regular price that you would get if you were just paying on demand. So this concept of reserved instances in AWS or committed use discount in GCP, this is what a lot of small to big companies end up committing to, and it's a big price for them to pay. Now, when you think about AI and ML type of workloads specifically, many of these tend to be batchy in nature, and lots of times people that are running AI inference or training, their resources are utilized only for part of the day. And so one of the theses we have is that if Akash had a way of letting these companies that have committed to these long-term contracts bring their resources to Akash during the times where they're not utilizing it for their own needs, then that could potentially be a good source of supply, especially for some of these hard-to-get GPUs, right? So this is basically a situation where rather than somebody that has been a provider or a data center company operator for their full-time business coming onto Akash, now we're actually looking at people that are potentially tenants that have leased compute capacity from some other cloud provider, them becoming providers on Akash because they want to monetize or reduce the cost that they take on for the compute capacity that they've committed to. So this is the idea with spot marketplaces. And so one of the things we've realized over there is in order for this to work, we have to do a couple of things. One is we think on the provider side we should be okay, because there is a way to, for the provider to take their workloads off the network in the times when they need to use them for their own needs. And one of the things to verify there is whether it affects the uptime that we display for that provider. We don't think it does affect it right now, but we need to verify that. And then on the client side is the more tricky thing, which is making it very clear to users that when they are selecting providers, they know that there are certain providers that will be more cost competitive, or certain resources that will be more cost competitive, but these are interruptible resources. So like if you're running a workload on this lower cost spot type instance, there's a chance that your workloads could be interrupted without any notice. And hopefully the providers are able to publish like a schedule for when these resources are available. And so figuring out how all this is going to work from both from a logistical standpoint as well as from a implementation standpoint and user experience standpoint is something that I think we need to look at. And so I'm going to take a swag at a spec for this in the next 3-4 weeks maybe, and see if we can start a working group or something around this. That's kind of one thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know if there's any thoughts or questions around that whole idea of spot providers, and if anybody has any thoughts around whether it's a good idea, bad idea, or any thoughts that people have had. Cool. I'll take that as a strong agreement. The other thing I wanted to bring up was as part of the testnet, the incentivized testnet for GPUs and AI models, one of our goals has been to identify obviously providers that can, be good providers that we bring to the mainnet, and that's been an ongoing effort. But then separate from it, we have also been closely trying to find folks that are building AI startups or working on AI projects that could be good tenants for these providers when they're on the mainnet. And so a few conversations that we have had, we have identified some tenants, and we're going to be pairing them up with providers. But then separate from that, we've also come across a couple of folks that are working on training foundational models as well as fine-tuning existing foundational models. So, being able to take an existing model and apply something like LoRa techniques to it, or training a foundational model from the scratch using a different data set is something that is attractive to us. It's attractive to us for two reasons. One is because if we can demonstrate that a foundational model can be trained on Akash Network, then it becomes an example for other people that are wanting to do this or are doing this on other clouds. And then the second reason is that it would also mean that we'd have a workload that is running for an extended period of time. So in some cases where somebody wants to take like a stable diffusion base model, SD1, 1.2 or something, and then train it on a different data set, this could take hundreds if not thousands of hours of GPU resources, and that would be a very good demand workload on the demand side. And then if you took something even more complex than that, you could be looking at tens of thousands of hours of A100 utilized for that. So we're having conversations with a couple of folks on that side that can help us with this, that are very experienced with training AI models. And so the outcome of this will likely be a governance proposal that will be submitted on the discussions. That'll talk about what the benefits of this would be to the Akash community, as well as what the cost would be. So I'll look for that as well. Cool. That is the two main other things I wanted to share. Is there anything you want to bring up in the projects area before we kind of talk about discussions and governance proposals and then wrap things up?
Yeah, I just want to add a little more light to the foundational model. I think this is an incredible opportunity. There is a notion that decentralized networks are not good for training, and the notion that decentralized networks are only for inference and fine-tuning. So by showing that you can actually, train a foundational model, we break that narrative. And that's huge, not only for Akash, but crypto in general, right? Because that's a proof point. And the content we get out of it, the tutorial or the learnings we we get out of this on how do you handle interrupts, how do you handle latency, and all these incredible things, we'll be documenting and we'll be posting. Right? So I think that's going to open up a whole lot of opportunity. It's a big deal. I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I'm like that's like, and the marketing power we get with it, right? Like as we are, we can go with this documents and show machine learning folks who can do it. So it's overall, I think it's going to be incredibly helpful for Akash, and also makes us build amazing tools to make this whole process easier. So both not only from marketing, not only from awareness, but also from a product standpoint, I think it's going to be great overall.
Great, thanks, Greg. Appreciate the additional context, and yeah, super excited. So yeah, the next steps on that is I'm going to work closely with the team that is potentially going to work on this with us, partner with us on this. That is, building an AI app right now, and we'll publish a governance proposal that will include kind of a high-level description of what the project is going to be and what the outcomes will be. So stay tuned for that. Awesome. Anything else to bring up on this? Anybody last time? Going once, going twice. Cool. I guess we'll jump back here and look at what's going on in GitHub discussions in terms of any new governance proposals that are submitted out here. So let's see. I guess we talked last time we were here. We talked about until about here. Since then, there's been a proposal for bringing MetaMask to Akash and the rest of Cosmos. I don't know if Boz, you're super close to this effort and you want to talk about this at all. If not, no worries.
Yeah, the action items are on John to get back to us with an updated proposal based on the requirements that we shared with him. This is going to change this a little bit. So I'll ping John to update this proposal based on our needs.
Great, thank you, Boz. Let's see. And then there was a proposal, I think, from Cheng. This is around incentivization. And so I think this one's also good. I don't think we have any actions on this one at this point. Huey, or I don't think Cheng is on the call. Huey. Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, I believe Huey submitted that proposal, and I think it's actually passed.
Great, awesome. Great, perfect. Yeah, so I can keep up with that. Sounds good. Akash Network, Kepler mobile wallet. This would be nice. Okay, so it looks like the action here is we're just waiting on the team that we work with, right, Boz? As far as Kepler mobile wallet support goes?
Yeah. It's yeah, Leap supports us. Kepler doesn't for now. No actionable items here.
Okay, great. And then I actually haven't looked at these two. Waco. Yeah, this could be a potential partnership on the AI front, looks like. We should have a conversation with these folks and see what this is about, unless anybody else already has reviewed this and wants to share.
I haven't. I'll reach out to Waco.
Good. Thank you, Boz. And I'll review it as well, see if there's anything that would make sense for us to partner on. Akash delegation dashboard. Is this something that we already have, kind of, within Cloudmos or something? Doesn't look like it, but just wondering. Go ahead, Boz.
Is the person who made the proposal here to ask a little bit more deeper questions on this. Okay, I guess I'll respond in GitHub and learn a little bit more.
Thank you, Boz. Cool. I think that's all the new discussion threads out here. Anybody want to talk about anything else? Anybody on the call that wants to discuss their previous proposal? Looks like Max is saying they considered making a delegation dashboard at some point, but decided it wasn't worth the time. That makes sense, I think. Yeah, exactly. And as Huey said, MintScan covers a lot of that. So that was kind of my reaction as well. Cool. Awesome. There's nothing else. Yep, agreed. I think Greg also posted about that. MintScan 2.0. Very cool. Sweet. I think that's pretty much it. Any other open questions or things that people want to bring up that apply to the community as a whole?
No, I think it's awesome. So next time we'll be meeting, will be post mainnet 6. So super exciting. It is our biggest update ever, and without a doubt, most important update. Right? This is the kind of update that sets Akash apart. This is the first time you're actually diverging from what a cloud looks like, right? From a decentralized version of Akash, AWS, to a version that AWS cannot offer. So GPUs, especially H100s and A100s, is something that exclusive to Akash, right? So that's very, very critical. So I'm super excited for the update, and hopefully the next updates are going to be in this arena of a different super cloud that's not Amazon. It's Akash, right? A self-identity that's being minted here.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I also think overall, everybody's done an amazing job of creating this ramp leading up to mainnet, where we demonstrated GPU capabilities first. We showed, deploying existing AI models. We showed taking in brand new AI model, ZJ from the community was able to deploy SDXL literally a few hours after it was released yesterday. That was amazing. And then if we can next figure out getting the latest and greatest GPUs and then getting a foundational model trained after the mainnet upgrade, that'll be perfect ramp and launching GPUs. So super awesome. Thanks everyone for all the amazing work. And with that, I'll stop sharing and hand things back to Tyler.
Excellent. Thank you, Anil. Is there anything else that this is part where we talk about, again, any open discussion items? I know that Anil mentioned gave people opportunities. Is there anything else that hasn't been covered that anyone wants to cover while we have a couple of minutes left? Cool. Well, again, the notes will be available soon, as well as the recording and the transcript. As Anil and others have said, thank you all to those that participated in GPU, the test nets, those that are helping with reviewing submissions, and everybody that's building and supporting the Akash community. Much appreciate all of you all. Please feel free to add anything in Discord. Go ahead, Andrew. I know you had a question.
Yeah, just one question from the recent news about the passage 6 million funded by the Akash Net. I just wanted to ask if this was secured by the Akash Net or specifically by Overclock Labs. Was it secured by?
Good questions. Overclock Labs, not Akash. I don't know why they used Akash branding. We didn't really have a review opportunity for them before they announced this. But Akash is a protocol. It doesn't fund any other protocols, or that doesn't go through governance, right? So Akash only funds, or the treasury only funds, the public goods in Akash. It's Overclock's investment, but I suppose they just use Akash branding. But if you actually go through the go through the announcement, they have a quote, right? It clearly says I'm the CEO for Overclock Creators of Akash, but that's a mistake on their part.
Yep, got it. Thanks.
Akash is popular, so people are going to use Akash in ways that you don't approve.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this is a public call, it's recorded, but just if there is maybe some intel on the Passage will have some public token sale, right? And I don't know if you know, but do they have the airdrop, or do we'll have to get more AKT for for some airdrop for the token holders? I don't know if this
They have some
place, but
airdrop plans. I don't know anything about it. I mean, they said something about it. Again, the funding also really was people, personal funding. Me and Cheng and Adam and whatnot. We funded this, and Overclock only gave a little bit, not really much, to add more transparency to it. And this deal was done a year ago. It's not even latest, right? So
I got it.
So it's one of those things that the project is incredible. They've done quite a lot of work. I don't know if you saw the video. So they're also going to be a big user for Akash GPUs. So it's going to be a good sort of bilateral sort of interest. But they did say they're committed to airdropping some tokens to Akash holders. We don't know how much and when.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Andrew, for that question. Thank you, Greg, for clarifying. Is there anything else with the couple of minutes we have left? Cool. Again, much appreciate everyone here. Much appreciate those that will be listening or watching later. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Again, there will be some SIG economics will be happening next week, as well as SIG chain, SIG support, and many others. And again, as previously mentioned, I believe there's a working group session around Zealy, which is previously Crew 3, happening tomorrow, Friday. And then look out for a working group around Docs 2.0 happening Monday. And Adam Wosley will have an announcement if there's a working group session for the hackathon before next week. But much appreciate everybody. Everyone have a great rest of the day. Thank you all.